Welcome to Chapter 5 of this webinar series. This webinar will focus on how to complete the refugees' application forms. We are going to start off with a quick reminder of the application process and who can be included on a single application package. Once the forms for the refugee applicant and the sponsors have been completed and all of the supporting documentation gathered, it can be submitted electronically or via regular mail to the centralized processing office in Winnipeg. Once the office in Winnipeg, CPAO, has completed processing, they will transfer the file to the visa office abroad. The visa office abroad will review the application, invite the refugee applicants in for an interview, and they will initiate the medical, security, and criminality checks. For more information on the application process and the different ways you can submit your application package to CPAO and the specific requirements for email submission, please see Chapter 4. A quick recap of who can be included on a single application package. Any person who meets IRCC's definition of a family can be included on the same application package. IRCC defines a family as the following: a principal applicant, a principal applicant's spouse or common law partner, and any dependent children under the age of 19. If the family has a child that is over the age of 19, they must have their own application package and be linked to the principal applicant's application on the undertaking/application to sponsor. For more information about how you link applications and for more information about who can be included on a single application package, please review Chapter 4 on how to complete the sponsor's application forms. Moving on to the focus of this webinar, what forms need to be completed by the refugee applicant that is being sponsored. These are the forms that need to be completed by the refugee applicant: a document checklist, IMM 5679, a generic application form for Canada, IMM 0008. If there is not enough space to list all of the principal applicant's dependents on the generic application form, then you would use the additional dependents form, IMM 0008 DEP. The refugee applicant also needs to complete a Schedule A, IMM 5669, a Schedule 2, IMM 0008 Schedule 2, and a use of representative form, IMM 5476. All of these forms together make up the IMM 6000 application package, which you will see referred to within certain policy documents and instruction guides from IRCC. Please visit the RSTP website, rstp.ca, for the latest versions of the forms, and it's very important that you do use the latest versions of the forms, otherwise they will be returned. Another quick point before we move on from this slide, please ensure that everybody over the age of 18 that is included on the same application package has their own Schedule A and Schedule 2. So, for example, if you have a principal applicant, the principal applicant's spouse, and a dependent child that is below the age of 19 but is 18 years old, in this scenario, the principal applicant will need their own Schedule A and Schedule 2, the spouse will need their own Schedule A and Schedule 2, and the dependent child that is 18 years old but still below the age of 19 will also need their own Schedule A and Schedule 2. We are going to start off by looking at the generic application form for Canada, IMM 0008. This form is used for a number of immigration streams, so some of you may be familiar with this form already. Generic application form must be completed by the principal applicant, and you would have one generic application form per application package. On the generic application form, the principal applicant would list themselves, plus their spouse or common law partner, and any dependent children under the age of 19. Once you have completed this form, you need to click the Validate button at the top over here, and if there are any errors or some of the boxes have not been completed, they will be highlighted in red, as you can see on your screen now. If there are no issues, then the form, once you click the Validate button, will automatically generate barcodes on new pages towards the end of the form. And all of the information that you have entered on this form will be embedded into those barcodes. So once the office in Winnipeg receives the application forms, they will scan the barcode that is automatically generated on the generic application form, and all of the information embedded on this form will automatically appear on their system. If once you have clicked the Validate button and the barcodes are generated and you need to go back and make any changes, you're welcome to do so, and you are able to do so, but please make sure that you click the Validate button once you have made those changes in order to update the barcodes with the latest information. This is page 2 of the generic application form, and this is where the principal applicant can begin to list any spouse or common law partner that they may have and any dependent children under the age of 19. Please remember that only the principal applicant's spouse or common law partner and dependent children under the age of 19 can be listed on this form. If you have children that are over the age of 19, they need to have their own application package, and you would link the application packages together. And if you would like more information on how you link application packages together, please review Chapter 4 of this webinar series. It is extremely important to include all family members that meet IRCC's definition of a family on this form, even if they are presumed dead or are missing. If these family members are not included on the generic application form, as well as the undertaking/application to sponsor, they will not be able to come to Canada to be reunited with their family under any immigration stream. Moving on to Schedule A, IMM 5669. As a reminder, everybody over the age of 18 has to have their own version of this form. Schedule A asks questions about military service, addresses for the last 10 years, membership in organizations or any government positions that may have been held, personal history for the past 10 years, membership of non-state armed groups, whether the applicant has engaged in war crimes, crimes against humanity, terrorism, etc. And the responses of the applicant in Schedule A will be used as a starting point to assess admissibility. So it's very important that the applicant is accurate and as truthful as possible. For questions relating to military service, membership of organizations or government positions, or any other non-state groups, please try to include information on dates of membership, what unit, group, or party they were a member of, what duties and responsibilities they had within the military unit, the group, or the political party or the organization, what was the name of their commanding officer or supervisor, and whether they had any involvement in armed conflict. The boxes on this form are very small, so if you do need to include additional information explaining certain positions or explaining certain aspects of military service, please include them on a separate piece of paper and just attach it to the back of this form. When you are completing this form, please list education history, personal history, addresses, military service, membership of organizations, and government positions with the most recent first. And again, just a reminder, everybody who is over the age of 18 must have their own version of Schedule A. Moving on to Schedule 2, IMM 0008 Schedule 2. Schedule 2 asks about the refugee story, and it's very similar to a BOC, which is used in inland refugee status determination claims in Canada. And the questions on this form relate to why the applicant had to leave their country of origin, why they cannot go back to their country of origin, and why they do not have a durable solution available to them in the country of asylum where they currently are. So please include as much information as possible to the questions on this form. And again, the boxes on this form are very small, so if you do need to use additional sheets of paper, please just write in the boxes on this form, please see attached, and include your responses to these questions on the additional sheets of paper. Provide information on why they had to leave their country of nationality or country of habitual residence, what happened specifically to them that forced them to leave, when they left, how they left, what was their journey to the country of asylum where they are living now, what country they are living in now, why they have no durable solution in that country, and why they are unable to return to their country of nationality or country of habitual residence. Please be as specific as possible and try to include names of people, names of places, and dates if the refugee applicant is able to provide this information to you. You can also attach country information, such as reports from the United Nations or other international organizations, news reports, and other documents that may be available, such as police reports, to the back of this form as supporting documentation. But please only include information that supports the refugee applicant's story or demonstrates why they have no durable solution available to them in the country of asylum. This form, you want to give as much information as possible to the visa officer, as this will be the starting point for the visa officer when it comes to the interview. So the information contained in this form will be used by the visa officer to get an understanding of the refugee applicant's story before they come into an interview. So it's very important that the information is as accurate and consistent as possible, and please make sure that the refugee applicant is aware of what is written on these forms, so there's no issues regarding credibility or inconsistency when it comes to the interview at the visa office. When it comes to addressing the questions on durable solutions, please again provide as much information as possible as to whether there are any offers of resettlement to other countries available, whether there is the possibility of local integration, or whether there is a lack of local integration, whether the applicant is able to live safely in the country of asylum, whether they have the right to work, the right to obtain social assistance and welfare or other assistance from the government, as well as the children being able to go to school. So provide as much information as possible. And again, if you do need to include country condition documents or country information, reports, news articles that demonstrate a lack of durable solution in the country of asylum, please do so and please attach it to the back of this form. Schedule 2 is also where the refugee applicant is asked to list any de facto dependents that they may have and that may be linked in a separate application package. And if you would like more information about de facto dependents, please review Chapter 4 of this series, as we cover de facto dependents, the eligibility requirements, and how you include de facto dependents on an application form in extensive detail in that chapter. So those are the forms that need to be completed by the refugee applicants. As a reminder, you have a generic application form, which is one per application package, and on that form you would list the principal applicant's spouse or common law partner, and any dependent children under the age of 19. And then you would have a Schedule A and a Schedule 2 for everybody that is over the age of 18. That is included on the same application package. And you would also optionally have a use of representative form. We're now going to move on and look very briefly at the one-year window, its requirements, and what forms need to be completed for the one-year window if you are assisting refugee applicants that have already arrived in Canada with the one-year window process. And if you would like more information on the one-year window process, please review Chapter 4 of this webinar series. As a reminder, only a principal applicant's spouse or common law partner and any dependent children under the age of 19 are eligible to come under the one-year window. So if a principal applicant listed his or her spouse or any children under the age of 19 on their initial application as non-accompanying family members, then they would be eligible to come under the one-year window. And what you need to do if you are assisting somebody with the one-year window and with completing a one-year window application package once they've arrived in Canada, you need to check these forms to see if the non-accompanying family members, the non-accompanying spouse, common law partner, dependent children under the age of 19 were listed on these forms as non-accompanying family members. So if they are a government-assisted refugee, check to see if the spouse, common law partner, or dependent children under the age of 19 were listed as non-accompanying family members on the generic application form for Canada. If they are privately sponsored refugees or blended visa office referred refugees, please check to see if they were listed on the generic application form as well as the undertaking/application to sponsor. If a principal applicant's spouse or common law partner or dependent children under the age of 19 were listed on these forms as non-accompanying family members, then they would be eligible to come to Canada under the one-year window. In terms of what forms need to be completed to begin the one-year window process, if the principal applicant that is now in Canada came to Canada as a government-assisted refugee, they would need to complete the request for processing family members under the one-year window of opportunity provisions form, IMM 5571. If the applicant came to Canada under the PSR or BVOR program, they would need to complete the same form, the request for processing family members under the one-year window of opportunity provisions, IMM 5571, plus the IMM 6000 application package. So in terms of the IMM 6000 application package, it would be a generic application form, a Schedule A, and a Schedule 2. The individual that is in Canada, regardless of whether they came as a government-assisted refugee, a privately sponsored refugee, or a blended visa office referred refugee, they must include a copy of their permanent residence card or confirmation of permanent residency letter with the application package. And where you send the forms differ depending on whether they are a government-assisted refugee, a PSR, or a BVOR. So please check the one-year window instruction guide for further information on where to send the one-year window application package. And if you would like more information on how you ensure an applicant is able to bring their non-accompanying dependents, be it a spouse or common law partner or children under the age of 19 to Canada under the one-year window, please review Chapter 4 of this webinar series. Thank you for viewing Chapter 5 of this webinar series. If you have any further questions, please use the contact details on screen to contact us, and we'll be more than happy to assist you. If you have any questions or need any assistance with completing the sponsors application forms or the refugees forms, any questions surrounding the one-year window and non-accompanying family members or de facto dependents or eligibility requirements, please contact us using our details on the screen. Thank you.